open the page.
I don't want to hear you say that.
Put that umbrella around the one and take it off you.
Warum?
Carshalton High School for Boys. With the new performance management arrangements, John Bailey's here to help the geography department develop their classroom observation and feedback skills. He's working with Head of Department Jane Arbuckle, who's performance managing Peter Horn in his third year of teaching.
Tom and Jordan have told me last time we looked at erosion, remember? And what were the three things that main parts of erosion? What are the three main parts of erosion? Yes, Jordan.
Peter's targets this year include raising his key Stage 3 results by half a grade.
Deposition, that's the one.
Partly by improving his use of assessment for learning.
Now, I reckon some people are a bit more switched on.
Jane's observing Peter's Year 8 lesson on rivers.
Who's the super switched on people so far?
And John Bailey's observing Jane.
Have we got any super switched on people? Yes, we have. We've got Sam and we've got Connor. They're switched on. They managed to open their book. Not the right page, though. But what page should we open? Charlie, what page should we open at? 8. And to get your brains firing away, what should you be doing? I'm going to ask Lee, what should you be doing?
The starter?
Yes, you should. Well done. So let's start on the starter. Gabriel's getting there. Well done. Date top left, remember? Date top left, remember? Date top left. Good, well done. Thank you, Luke. Superstar.
So there we are. It's early on. They like him. He's going around doing a lot of reinforcement. What were you thinking at this stage?
I liked the way that he went around, said superstar, and was encouraging kids and talking to them by name and saying, yes, you've done that, yes, you've done that.
First sentence. If you don't like writing fast, we've agreed that before, you could just write the answer.
Peter's a popular teacher.
What's the first sentence? Task 1.
And over the past 2 years, he's improved his classroom management.
A river erodes...
Downwards.
Well done. Excellent.
But Jane now wants him to work on raising the pupils' attainment.
It's cold.
Wind, air, no.
It's cold.
Water.
It's water. It's cold, then it's warm.
Weather. Ice.
Weathering. Freeze floor, thank you.
He's chosen activities that are very, very tight and constraining for his starter activity. There's only right or wrong answers, as it were, and everyone's expected to get them right.
This one here, then. Here's one. Go back to Dave, because you did this one already.
Gravity and rainwater move materials downwards.
That's correct, Mondo. And next one, who hasn't spoken to me yet? You haven't put down. Jack, you have. Just Charlie, you haven't. No. Charlie, go on then.
Weathered and eroded material transported by river.
One of the key things that I looked at was his ability to Q&A, his question and answers, and invariably it was really low-level questioning.
What's this feature coming down here, please? Kieran, what's this feature coming down here?
Slope.
Yeah, but what's it called? Special cowboys wear them in their boots. Stab the horse. Jingle, jingle. Come on. Mars, what are these ones? What are these ones?
Spurs.
Spurs, thank you. And what do Spurs do when they all go together? One here, begins with I. Interlocking Spurs, brilliant. Well done.
Questions tended to be
They were very
teacher
closed.
asking one, closed questions, there'd be an answer to it.
And if the kids didn't get the answer that he was trying to acquire from them, he was giving them clues, you know, like Spurs, touch cowboys, guys, cowboys, you know.
Yes.
And he was trying to use, you know, the association in there, but it was very factual and there was no real dialogue between the kids.
If you make a large copy, you get 2 marks. How'd you get 3 marks? Joe, how'd you get 3 marks?
By add title, labels and colour.
Lee, how'd you get 3 marks?
Huh?
How'd you get 3 marks?
Add a title, label and colour.
Who's not going to get 3 marks? I've seen loads of people here who aren't going to get these 3 marks. They're missing a title, they're missing labels.
OK, so that form of self-assessment, here are the marks and here's how you get them. Talk to me about it.
It's the perennial problem of assessing for product. You know, a lot of people will say, oh, they've done really well in this class because they have produced this, 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 and this, and this. And I would actually question whether productivity is the same as understanding.
Who got 10 to 18 marks? Who got 10 to 18 marks? Well done. So, You lads all definitely working at level 3. Well done. Who got over to 18 marks? Shouldn't really, not today. So Jack was on his way to working at level 4 because he managed to work so hard and so efficiently. He finished, he prioritised, he got the first task sorted out, and he moved on to the second task.
I suppose if you had a really hard clinical look at that lesson, you could get through that lesson by listening. You would probably ask one question. If you couldn't understand the question, you would be quickly given a cue by the teacher, or it would have been moved on to somebody else. And there was quite a lot of copying in work that you could get to by looking at what the person next to you was doing.
Over the past year, Jane's been guiding Peter to think about different ways he can assess the pupils while he's teaching them.
All good lads are now quiet, looking at me.
For the end of the lesson, he's brought in some innovative resources to review the pupils' understanding.
This boulder here, the size of a small house.
But despite Peter's strong material,
And the
pupils struggled.
The river was over the bridge the night before, and we managed to move this boulder, which smacked into the bridge. Other boulders nearly destroyed the bridge down there, so the river was over that bridge.
My impression of this task, and I thought, well, this is really exciting. You know, look at all these things that can happen. Yeah, here's boulders being swept down rivers, here's roads being washed away, here are these enormous shapes.
This question goes out to number 4.
Can anybody tell me why they think this might be happening? A few guesses, a bit of discussion. OK, now we're going to go on a journey, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Is it weathering?
No weathering.
Erosion.
Erosion. Can you explain to you what? Well done. Can you explain what weathering? What's being eroded?
The road.
The road being eroded. And what else?
And all the, like, the... Well, I can't explain that.
You have to wait until near to the end of the lesson before he starts teasing high-level questions, like explanation of material, explanation of processes, and the kids can't do it. And it's because they haven't been, throughout the lesson, set up for that. They haven't been scaffolded to a stage where they can start to explain their understanding.
The stream was so huge, it just created a whole new valley. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. That's the power of rivers.
We have 2 jobs to do. One is we just need to figure out what you would like to see happening. And then second, we've got to think about how you're going to encourage him on the journey.
If you're going to take assessment further and to find out what the kids actually know, then you need to have open forms of assessing them and higher level questioning that basically challenges their understanding rather than their factual recall.
To get the 8 marks.
You're Peter's line manager, and you know him pretty well.
Yeah.
How's that going to influence the way you work with him in this? Do you do a one-size-fits-all performance management feedback, or are there specific things you need to bear in mind?
Fundamentally, taking Peter forward, first of all, it needs to come from himself. If he doesn't own it, then there's no point. For me to go in and say, you need to do this with your questioning is not going to be effective, because it's exactly what I am trying to get Peter to develop himself. It's like my imposition, or me imposing my type of what I think is good, or it's not going to work.
Jane's biggest challenge in reviewing Peter's lesson is to help him develop his own strategy for self-improvement, rather than just telling him what to do.
So, how do you see assessment for learning, all right? How do you actually assess pupils? It's not just in this lesson, but generally, how would you assess them? If you were to write a list of things, I'm going to put them all down.
You look at their book.
Okay,
you gauge. Well, first thing is you gauge their response to your question. You ask them a question.
Okay, Q&A.
Q&A.
All right, so assessment types. This is what you would be comfortable using, right? Q&A.
Then look at the work they produce in their book.
Okay, productivity.
So it could be book and
They
homework.
talk through a range of assessment techniques, but Jane's priority is to get Peter to think about question and answer skills.
It does.
That's what I need to do. That's what I need to start doing.
So you need to basically put in the structures behind each of these.
Yes.
Are you aware of what kind of questioning you're using?
It's quite simple, isn't it? Or so I'm asking a question and seeing who can reply, so I'm not testing.
In what way do you think it's a reply?
Sometimes I'll ask a question or show something I want to do, And I know, if I know the answer, I put the hand up usually.
Mm-hmm. What do you understand by simple answers? What do you think a simple answer is?
Sometimes it'll be yes or no.
Yes
or
or
naming,
no?
Or naming a part, or giving a name.
I think you've named basically...
Because I'm not asking them to explain stuff.
Good.
That's what I'm not doing.
All right, all right. So, if we're going to take Q&A forward for you, all right, you've just said it in many ways. What do you think you need to do with it?
Well, I've got to change. That's what I think is missing from my little folder of assessment types. Is I've come to a sort of like I've come down a path. I've come to a dead end and gone, and to move up a little, I need a bit of a kick, nudge, suggestion to go somewhere else.
Basically, what you've said is that you've got simple Q&A going on in your lessons, very factual, very sort of specific, very one word. And what you want to do is take it forward so that now that there's more of an explanation or a reasoning behind, a thought process behind. We basically shared out.
Jane's tried to draw out Peter's views, but John's looking to see if she'll allow him to draw his own conclusions.
What you want to do is get this conversation going with the kids to get up to that level 5 and level 6, where they're starting asking questions and going, sir, can we do this, can we do that, will this answer that question? And then, you know, maybe they're even in the stage where they can actually answer themselves. What you need to do is start looking at this concept of group work and ordering and storyboards and PowerPoints and videos and getting some structure in place for those activities. Would you be happy with that?
That's what I want to. I think that's going to make life more interesting again, because I think in a minute, if I keep on going like this, I'm going to get bored. And so I need to do this to take... it's progression. I need to progress.
If I asked you to reflect on that observation and review, did you learn anything new? Did you have any beliefs or ways of working confirmed as a result of this particular observation and feedback?
It is always challenging for me to bite my tongue and let people come to their own conclusions about things, but it is something that I have found that if you allow people to do that, there is more benefit for that individual. Whether it's classroom environment and it's the pupils who basically come to that conclusion themselves, or whether it's working with a teacher. So I always find working with someone is like, what technique am I going to use to check myself? So the writing, it's like I tend to focus my ideas onto paper, and rather than saying, oh, this is what you can do, I tend to write things down and keep them away from that individual. In the past, I have been saying, right, do this, do this, do this. And I suppose really this is the first performance management. I've really thought that Peter's now in a position to start taking things forward himself by questioning his understanding and basically teasing out of him.
Nonetheless, you did most of the talking. Not most is a bit cruel. You probably did more talking than he did. What might you do to change that ratio around?
I need to develop my listening skills. I need to develop my questioning skills with regards to Peter himself. I need to put myself in a position whereby we have time to sit and just let him evolve.